Hello, well, welcome everyone to another Security Token Prime webinar. This time we're joined by both BlockInvest and Davison Morgan. How's everyone doing this morning?
Hello.
Hey, things good, thank you.
Fantastic. Lorenzo, how about yourself?
Great, just back from Token 2049 and looking forward to share what you are doing in the space.
Fantastic. Well, you guys are doing a lot of good stuff, BlockInvest and Davison Morgan. I'm sure we'll learn about your involvement as well. Today, specifically, we're talking about tokenizing non-performing loans, which I think, based on the stats that you've shared, is a growing problem, and a lot of that we've seen grow in Italy and all of Europe as well. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to you guys. Maybe give us a quick introduction on BlockInvest, Davison Morgan, and how you guys came together.
Sure. I mean, the BlockInvest started with the precise idea to bring the technology to serious regulated companies like Davison Morgan, and to disrupt the tokenization of non-performing loans. So we will see in a while how it works, but just as an introduction, when you start to disrupt a business, you don't need to find just a client, but you need to find someone which is really committed to innovate something. It's not so easy, as we know. So we got lucky to find in our growth path a company like Davison Morgan. Guys, do you want to add something?
Thank you all. First of all, thank you very much, Jason, to give us this opportunity. Davison Morgan has been one of the leading players in the single name secured NPLs in Italy. We have a view which is very bottom up, because we start from the single name and then we grow into larger portfolios, starting anyway, keeping on adding single name on single name. So our view of how to change the market is very different from our competitors, because most of the largest ones grow up by buying portfolio over portfolio, whereas we are brick by brick. So this has given us the opportunity of seeing what the investors want, seeing the single name market trading with difficulty, and seeing together with Lorenzo how the tokenization of the credit could improve very much a secondary market which is still very, very slow in growing.
Makes sense to me. Well, I'm glad that you guys, found each other and starting to work together. We've gone ahead and shared screen, which sounds like Lorenzo will be leading here. So I'll let you guys take it away and let us know all about, this industry and what you guys are working on.
Lorenzo?
Sorry, I was on mute. I mean, let's dive into the tokenization space, and particularly let's start from the beginning. So how we learned how to tokenize. So because it's a learning path, we need to understand that it's a continuous learning process. So first of all, we started, for sure, 4 years ago with trial and error. We tried the first tokenization specifically on non-performing loan portfolio. Then we also tokenized some real estate SPVs, but with the precise commitment, use a public, real, decentralized blockchain. We don't believe in private network or something like that. We are mainly based on AWM blockchain. Particularly, we use Polygon. We love that blockchain for its reliability, its interoperability, and on that we've built a complex set of smart contracts which are custom made for the specific use cases. But after that, we start the learning process on how to distribute. Okay, so first of all, it's not just a matter of tech in this use case. It's a matter of how you apply the regulation. So we studied a lot, particularly the European regulation. We are quite lucky because also in Italy there is a new specific regulation on the tokenization of securities. So the so-called real-world asset tokenization that was so popular in Token 2049 in Dubai, but we realized that no one exactly knows what a real-world asset is. So this comes the opportunity for us to study the regulation, use our tech, so come back on. We learn much better on how to tokenize, and we have created a platform that basically embed the study of the regulation inside a tool which combines for sure a Web 2 part that we will see in a while and the Web 3. So it's a continuous evolution process. But I mean, it's not enough. So after that, we had to learn how to say and how to be compliant. So what we have done in the last year, also together with Davis and Morgan, we worked a lot with regulators, particularly in Italy, with Bank of Italy and with our financial regulator to better define what are the process, how to manage and how to monitor for them all the use cases and how to use the technology in order to enable regulators to do their job in a better way. So now what happened, we have become the use case also for them. So we are the case study, the Italian case study for the tokenization of assets. And this, just to circle back, we improved our tokenization process because the message that we would like to provide today is create a token that represents an underlying asset is quite easy. But what we are trying to do with companies that want to really exploit the blockchain is to tokenize the process. So just having a token that represents something we will see in a while is not enough. So we tokenize the whole value chain. So again, we submitted to the regulator our idea, and we improved our smart contract. We improved the way our client, in this case, Davis and Morgan, make blockchain transaction. So this for reaching the result, which is create a real bridge between traditional and structured finance and the blockchain space in order to have a fully compliant solution for financial institutions that basically solve legal and procedural issues that really makes possible to digitize the process and to tokenize real-world assets. Specifically, we will see the non-performing exposure world today, but as you may know, Jason, we are focused on also another use case that we will discuss in Miami, like fund shares, like equity. We are, super excited to work also on the very institutional corporate bonds really soon. So now I would like to ask Davis and Morgan to proceed with our area of interest with them, so the non-performing loans.
Yes, I will cut the presentation of Davis and Morgan pretty short. We are a financial intermediary, independent financial intermediary. So we are regulated and supervised by the Bank of Italy, just like banks. But compared to banks, we cannot get lending from people. So our issue has always been to find the liquidity to buy the credits. We have bought so far around 300 credits with an average value of 350,000 euros. So we've been pretty active since we buy deal by deal, as we said. So the issue of how to make our investors participate to the profitability of a single credit has been with us for a long time. All the solutions that you find in the real world have some consequences in terms of taxation of inefficiency. The only alternative option is a securitization vehicle, which is per se quite burdensome. So we were looking for a solution that would make us happy and our investors happy. And the tokenization of assets was the best way we have identified. As a full picture of Davis and Morgan, the tokenization of assets goes together with another innovation, a disruptive innovation that we have made in the NPL market, which is called asset finding, which is an application whereby each single investor can look for potential foreclosures in the area that he likes. So in the app, Italy is divided in small areas where an investor can look for the foreclosure that he likes. This way, we are aiming to map most of the foreclosures in Italy. So far, we have a pretty good part of it, but we have agreements with other servicer to give us their credits so that we can map it even better. And this way, a single investor can look for the credit that he likes, and either he buys it directly, and or he buys it through us, and we can tokenize it and divide it into small pieces, and he can invest a part. Davis & Morgan can invest in another part, and third-party investors can put the remaining money. So we are trying to make a secondary market which is not efficient right now, to transform it into efficient market. And these two tools, asset finding and the tokenization, are the best answer we could find, and I think they will change the market. Here, yes, it's an overview of a problem or an issue which is not just Italian, but is European. So you can see how big the market is. In Europe, is 730 billion. Here we're talking about the assets that are still within the bank balance sheets. To tell the whole truth, the case in Italy has been quite clear. Over the last few years, there have been, specifically 2015, 2025, there have been 325 billion sale of non-performing loans. These loans have moved into securitization vehicles managed by the largest servicer in Italy, and underwritten by some of the largest American and Anglo-Saxon funds. But the issue is still there. I mean, they have been moved from the bank balance sheet to a securitization, but they are still there. So the amount of non-performing loans that are circulating is still huge. On top of them, over the last few years, because of the COVID pandemic and because of the war between Ukraine and Russia, a lot of credits that are not paying have been put on stage 2 or UTP, and they have not been sold by banks. So on top of the 83 billion that you see on the left in Italy, you can find another 211 billion of UTP in the bank's balance sheet as of June 2023. On top of this, there is a very, very important piece of legislation that is gonna go forward in Italy very soon. So there is a European directive, the Secondary Market Directive, which wants to uniform the way the credits are being bought by different players in different countries in Europe. To sum it up, in Italy, a single person or a company is not allowed to buy a credit as of now. So companies like Davis & Morgan, which is regulated by Bank of Italy, has a sort of a unicum option to buy credits together with banks or securitization vehicles. With this new directive, everybody will be entitled to buy credits, but with the caveat that the credit has to be managed by a specialized credit manager, which in this case is Davis & Morgan. So that means that anyone, if we tokenize a credit, will be able to buy the whole credit or a piece of credit, as long as Davis & Morgan, or in general whoever else is authorized by Bank of Italy, manages it. So this will change completely the landscape of the investors of NPLs. The aim with the tokenization is to make the new regulation smooth, with not too many costs of management that could burden the profitability of the purchase of one credit. Now here we have in this slide we have put the main factors that underline the projected growth of the NPL market. The first one is what we intend to do together with the BlockInvest. So develop a sales platform that will allow investors to see the opportunity that they like and to participate and buying it. This way, they also increase the willingness to purchase these credits by investors that do participate in the platform, but perhaps they haven't got already an experience in non-performing loans. Finally, I mean, as we have stated before, there have been a lot of portfolio of secure credits that have been sold to securitization vehicles, to the so-called GACs, so a guarantee from the state. This portfolio need to be wound down, and an opportunity like the one that we offer could be a good way for the change of investors between from the securitization vehicle, which are guaranteed by the state, and private investors. Okay, Lorenzo, I think I pass over to you again to talk about the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will ask for, the support of the team to share the platform. To all the audience, this is a demo, so it's not intended as an investor solicitation. So we will see basically how it's structured and what will be the opportunity to use the blockchain, but linked to an important underline that, if properly managed, as Giandomenico was saying, can provide also interesting return for the final investor. We said at the beginning that just creating the token is, when you talk about real world asset, is not enough. So you need to put on a Web2 platform, but mainly on the blockchain, the most important steps of the whole process. So we will start putting information of the vehicle. We were talking about the fact that the huge amount of this bad credit are now securitized. So basically, just as an example, we put now Davis & Morgan, which is now the manager, the issuer of this underline. As you can see, these are the main information of the company, that in this case you are financed to buy the credit before the actual the regulation Davis & Morgan was talking about would be live. But we will see immediately the two main information that you will have on the blockchain. So the unique smart contract that represent the SPV, we can see that it's there is this kind of information, and for sure the second one, which is the whitelist. Okay, if I share screen. So this information will directly link this kind of SPV to a unique signature on the blockchain. Okay, and also the regulator will be able to monitor that only whitelisted investor will be entitled to in this case buy Davis & Morgan token. Okay, for example, this is the whitelist. Okay, now we have for this demo whitelisted one investor. If you are not in this whitelist, you will not be able to get this token. Okay, so this is done every once in a while, and at the setup. If we go then on the project part, so let's start describing an underline. Okay, that needs to be simple to understand for a broader audience, because at the end we want to tokenize, so we want to distribute right over this investment. Okay, now we just took one of the operation Davis & Morgan is working on, so you're gonna have a lot of information about return of investment, the market value of the underlying, the minimum size for sure. So we'll have the whole description, the executive summary. in this case, the underlying is real estate, so you see eventually video or the pictures, some information about the underlying, so what the collateral is, who is the project owner and the servicer. We need to remind the investor that this investment is possible only if there is a specialized company like Davis Morgan that manage this recovery. And so you will have other descriptive part, included the executive summary. For sure, the credit recovery strategy. So the investor that will buy the tokens need to understand what is, in this case, the real world asset. The real world asset is, in this case, a credit that is managed by Davis Morgan. But what is the strategy behind this credit? So which in turn is behind this token. And what is the business plan linked to this token? So what I can expect, okay? Now, the return potentially are really, really interesting, differently from other more standard underlying that the market knows, okay? So, but this is not enough. We have a dedicated section, full detail, that only if you're gold whitelisted, you can enter it. For sure, the document. If you decided where to invest, you need to see the underlying, you need to understand what are the project and legal document related to this specific operation, okay? And all these documents are notarized on the blockchain, okay? For example, this is a timestamp of the, you can see the method directly on the blockchain. So add new document to this project, okay? And in our use case, this kind of notarization of the whole documentation set is not just written on the blockchain, but is linked to the smart contract of the project itself. So you will be able to see this kind of information. Okay, just let's switch just 1 second. Okay, let's go on the Explorer. If you see on the Explorer, this kind of smart contract is linked to a series of transactions on the blockchain, which are, I don't know, deploy the token, appoint the transfer agent, but also all the notarization. Okay, so it's okay that you need to have a Web2 platform to see the underlying and to evaluate whether or not put your money on this token, but you will be able to see that on the blockchain, this token at the end is linked to this data set. Okay, let's come back to the platform. We have seen the document, okay, but also the KPI. We have shown a brief curve of the business plan, but you need to show to the investor also the financial KPI. In this case, there is an underlying, so the real estate KPI and the credit KPI. At the end, we know that the token is not the only important thing, but it's important by itself because you need to buy it at the beginning, at the end. So you will have the token section, okay, and you will have all the information of the token. If you want, this is like underlined by one investor just for the scope of this demo. But here you have other information that are specific for this token. Because if we are talking about credit, you potentially, under the same project, you can issue 2 tokens. I don't know, the senior and the junior notes. So depending also on the risk level of the investor and for sure on the return expected. And also here you have in Web2 part, the information of the token and the smart contract of the specific token, okay, which is here. And you can see on the blockchain the transaction related to the token tracker, and you have for sure all the information on the blockchain that we know. All this information are, represent a timestamp that will be updated, okay, every once in a while by the special servicer in this case. But you can see, for example, in transaction list, the whole set of transactions that are happening. So transaction list, you see, in this case, just for this the sake of this example, we have made a subscription, okay? The transaction is completed, you have the date and whatsoever. But to make possible, and as we were saying, to be compliant, you need to provide to the regulator what's happening on the blockchain, because we, together with Davis and Morgan, we work on native tokenization, not digital twin as we know that other operators are doing. So an underline that exists in the traditional financial space, it's still on the database on CSD, but it's also on the blockchain. In this case, for us at least, it's marketing. In this case, with native tokenization process, you need to show, at least in Europe, the whole set of transactions that are linked to this operation. In this case, you will see not only the transaction related to the token, but also the whitelisting, the enabling role for the special servicer, the notarization that we saw, all the deploy of the main smart contract that basically generate the whole set of information also on chain. So even in a small demo, even in a small transaction with just one subscription, you can see how many transactions we have on the blockchain. So the use that we make of the blockchain is really extensive, and we think this is the only way possible to really manage a real world asset directly and entirely on chain, and makes possible for regulated entities like Davis Morgan to also reply to regulatory constraints. I think that, I mean, for this small demo, it's we have done, and I don't know, Jason, if you have something, but.
Jason, allow me to add a small thing that we can tokenize both the credit itself, or as in the example that Lorenzo showed, we can also tokenize the loans that are linked to the credit for an easier and smoother transaction. Both of the ways are possible, and we are pursuing both ways depending on what the investors want.
Makes sense. Yeah, apologies there. I cut out. But no, great presentation, everyone. Thank you for sharing that. Reminder to the audience, if you have any comments, go ahead and submit them in the chats, and whether YouTube, LinkedIn, or Twitter, and hopefully we get them on our end to display. But in the meantime, I did want to ask you guys, okay, so what's been the most difficult part about building this platform and specifically this use case?
Well, Lorenzo, you can start. As far as Davis Morgan is concerned, I have some points to add, but you start first.
I mean, the most difficult part, which is also the most fascinating part, is connect the dots. So the platform for sure needs to be easy to use, reliable, and needs to solve a problem, okay? Or to, provide an opportunity, in this case for Davis and Morgan, but also for private investors that are now excluded for this kind of investment. But the regulation is quite new. There is a lot of uncertainty on how to manage this kind of tokenization process. So if I need to just pick one thing, as how to align the regulation to this disruptive technology that potentially change the logic, change the way of working, not only of the Davis and Morgan or company like them, but also from the regulator side. So it's a process that is quite, again, fascinating but complicated.
Yeah, that's the point I wanted to make. The regulation has been the main issue here, because in Europe, especially the tokenization is still a process that takes some time to digest. So step by step, we are reaching this milestone, and I think that sooner or later, actually pretty soon, the whole process will be enacted in the sense that also the secondary market transaction using cryptocurrencies will be made.
Makes sense to me.
Let me add something, because
Please.
I got a great assist. The fact that the regulation of financial instrument and on the cryptocurrencies in Europe, we have the MiCAR, are not aligned, okay, in terms of timing, complicated things, because we always forget that to really exploit the tokenization real world asset, we need to also to exploit the cash leg. So a commonly used stable coin that you have in US, you're quite likely that you have 150 billion, maybe more, stable coin in circulating supply is something that the euro is still missing. But in 2 months from now, the MiCAR uh, will be applied to stablecoin, e-money token in general, and but this will be one of the key points to really exploit the tokenization. So having a proper cash leg, then investor and also player like David and Morgan can use to go on the market and buy the underlying, in this case the credit.
Absolutely, and I'm a really big fan of the fact that not only did you put the token on chain, but you have all the information attached, right? So you have documents that you showed, and not just the document upload, but the documents actually tied to the token itself. Are there any specific points of data that you think will be valuable more than others to make sure that those are definitely attached to the token?
I mean, there are, let's say, two main data that are important more than the other, for sure. One is the permission that you assign to the world stakeholders. Okay, so on the blockchain there is not just, as I was saying, the token, but also who can act on behalf of the company. In this case, there is a Morgan for this tokenization. And this helps a lot. So who can make a deploy of the token? Who can distribute this token? Or what happens if there is a pledge on this token? Okay, you need to put actions to a dedicated account that we call transfer agent. Because what happens if something or happen as an unforeseen event? Okay, we don't have this kind of thought in the crypto space, but for the real world asset, we know that something can happen, right? So this is the first, and the second, for sure, it's you are underlying that the whole data set that are attached to the project. Because I mean, in our use case, just having a token is not like a Bitcoin, okay? That is self-explained. So you need to have a lot of information that are attached to this token to really provide the whole data set of the underlying. This is the only way possible, as far as we know and we think. But I don't know what's your idea.
That makes sense to me. Appreciate it. So when you guys were going through the slides, and notice obviously what the market opportunity is here, right? There's hundreds of billions in NPLs, out there. How much of this market share do you plan to capture, or do you plan to capture in, say, the next 5 years through tokenization?
As much as we can to get.
Yes. The answer is this. I mean, the pool is so large that we don't have to look at the whole thing. We have to look at how much we can raise. It's a trial issue. Clearly, there will be willingness from a lot of owners of these credits to follow this route if there is a market. So what has to be tested is the investors market for these specific products, which is something, as I said, something pretty new in Europe, at least in Europe.
And let me add something related to the secondary market directive. Apart from the number that we saw, probably very soon we will draw a line, and there will be a new opportunity for advanced market operator to get a new market. So the secondary market that now is stuck as in the hands of very few operators that are not even digitized most of the time. Okay, so and in this huge volume of MPE, as Gian Domenico was saying before, most of them are related to the fact that COVID before, wars all over the world and energy crisis are like increasing this volume, but with very interesting underlying that potentially can produce a very interesting ROI for investors. So the reason why we decided to work together, because we saw that differently from huge operator that just need to buy and resell this kind of underline. Davis and Morgan is specialized to really add value on an underline, and this in turns add value to the token and to the token holder. So it's not just how many tokens we will produce, but what is the return of investment of this token, which should be the biggest possible.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so let's talk timeline. You know, when can we expect this to, be fully live, and what do you plan to go after next?
I mean, technically speaking, we are fully live. From Davis and Morgan point of view, then I let them talk. They already have a lot of pipeline of very interesting operation. So we already loaded on the real platform. So I think we are, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, we are very close to launch the first tokens.
Correct.
Very close to launching. Nice. Very nice. That's exciting. And like, again, beautiful thing about tokenization and blockchain in general is you can repurpose it for multiple use cases. This is a very interesting one with a lot of opportunity. And smart contracts really help facilitate a lot of the things that traditional finance and traditional archaic systems just don't. So, I'm sure there's a lot of benefits that will come through that, which I am curious to ask you guys about in the future once this is live and whatnot. You get a few more insights, kind of some like results out of this first token that you guys will be launching. So for anyone that wants to work with either Davis and Morgan or BlockInvest or both, how can they best connect with each of you?
I mean, you can use all our channel, specifically LinkedIn and our website, blockinvest.it. And you can also book a demo, and we can show the whole process on how we can work together. Where you are an issuer or you are an investor and you are interested in specific underline that we just showed up. So, and I hope that when I will be in Miami soon, we will be able to show something more. So.
Very excited to have you at Tokenize This. For anyone that's watching, Tokenize This is the conference we're hosting here in Miami, May 9th and 10th. BlockInvest will be joining us, so we're very excited about that. And Davis and Morgan, how about yourselves? How can people get in touch with you guys?
The easiest way is through our website, davisandmorgan.it, where you have all the information needed. You can get in touch with us. You can see a little demo of the platform. So all the information is there. So definitely go ahead, and we will answer pretty quickly.
Fantastic. And so before we sign off, any parting thoughts from either of you? Anything you want to make sure that the audience knows?
So personally, we are really convinced that this will change the market, at least the Italian secondary market for non-performing loans. The market has always had a very, very good performance, especially if you look as we did at the small at credit by credit and not by portfolios. So it's our IRR has been well above 20% for the last few years. So it's something that the problem is that it's very, very difficult to get in. Now, with this platform and with the new ideas that we have and the secondary market directive, we believe that foreign investors or other investors will participate and make it very interesting. So it's something to look at.
I will just add that with respect to the past, apart from optimizing the processes through the smart contracts that you were mentioning before, Jason, now we are cutting geography, basically. This interesting ROI were supposed to be subscribed just by Italian specific and few Italian investor. Now it's not. So thanks to the blockchain, you can have a clear picture of what's happening on the underlying. You will have regulated entities managing, and if you are in Miami or in Milan, the fees and the times for a transaction on the blockchain is always the same. So we are democratizing a lot this market, and as we used to say, that now it's like our company pay off. One block at a time, we will be able to make it.
Absolutely, 100%. Once they hit the secondary markets, we will be tracking them on security token market as well. So we'll be keeping a close eye on BlockInvest and Davis and Morgan. Lorenzo, Davidson Morgan, thank you for joining us today and sharing these insights. Again, this is a really unique use case that I think a lot of people are kind of, maybe not paying attention to yet, but they probably should. A lot of market opportunity. We're excited to see Lorenzo in Miami. Davidson Morgan, hopefully you can join us as well. But with that, anyone that's on the Security Token Prime platform, make sure you go check in on other events coming up soon, including one with Elevator Labs and Invenium. Make sure you check in for our office hours, check in with the team, see what's going on, read the newsletter. But as usual, happy tokenizing. Thanks for joining us and have a great, fantastic week.